You're welcome to another tutorial in which we are going to solve the February-March 2024 animation question. In our previous video, we tackled the graphics creation, and we are going to use the elements we created in that video in solving this animation question. So I'll kindly suggest you watch that video as well if you haven't done so yet. So let's dive into the question. You are required to create an animation of a cupcake as being assembled. In your animation application, set the stage to 640 by 480 pixels and use bakery.jpg as the background. The bakery.jpg image shows two chutes and a nozzle. For this tutorial, I'll be using Adobe Animate 2022, and as the question requires, we have to create a stage of width of 640 by height of 480. You can leave the frame rate as it is and then just click on create. Let's go to where it says 100% at the top here and change it to fit in window. And since we'll be needing the bakery image as our background, we head to file, import, and then say import to stage. We go ahead and look for the bakery image from the source folder and click on open. Now, before you go ahead and start animating, it's always important to know the total number of seconds or the total time that is involved in the entire animation. And to determine this, you simply have to read the entire question before you begin. So let's go to where it says start animation. This will obviously be the 0.00 mark. And then it says here your case image must enter the frame from the left and take 1 second to reach the top of the chute. It must then take 1.5 seconds to fall smoothly down chute 1 to reach the bottom. So that makes a total of 2.5. So when we come here, it says at 2.5 seconds, which is the total we have so far, the animation must look like this. The case must then take 1.5 seconds to move to the position under chute 2, and that makes 4 seconds so far. Your cake must then enter from the left and take 1.5 seconds to reach the position above chute 2. So that makes 5.5 seconds in total so far. And then the cake must then take 1.5 seconds to fall smoothly down the chute or down chute 2 and fit in the case. So that's 1.5 plus 5.5 making 7. So we have it here at 7 seconds. Your animation must look like this. So far we have 7 seconds. Next we have the cake must then take 1.5 seconds to move to the position under the nozzle, and your topping must start to appear. So that's 7 plus 1.5 making 8.5. Pardon me if the question paper is not too clear. Then we have the topping must take 1 second to grow to the size and position as shown. So we have 9.5 in total. And the final image must then take 1.5 seconds to completely leave the stage to the right. That's 9.5 plus 1.5 making 11 seconds. Now there's another extra second here that says the animation must restart after 1 second and loop continuously. So we have a total of 12 seconds for the entire project. So the importance of reading through the entire question gives you an idea of how long the animation will take and how long you need to extend your background and other objects that will not be moving. So let's head back into Animate. So back in Animate, let's first rename the layer we've just imported to the stage. You can double click on layer 1 and let's rename it to background. And then head back up to file and import the other assets. So this time we are importing to library, the case, the cake, and then the topping. When you see this dialog, make sure it's on import each part to different layer and then click OK. So let's begin by creating a new layer for our case. Double click case 1 and let's extend our background to the 12-second mark. So look for 12 seconds on the timeline. If your timeline is not visible enough, you can use this handle to extend it like this. So here we are on 10 seconds, 12. So click on the 12-second mark and right click on it and say insert frame or press F5. You can also hover over them and look for insert frame. Here it is, and say insert frame. So now our background will last the entire duration of the animation. So back on case 1, first frame, select case, drag, and let's drop it on the background. Now let's use the free transform tool, this one, to hold shift and resize it so that it fits on top of the shoot. Like this. After we've determined its size and made sure it's in correct proportion, we can now move it to the left out of the frame where it's supposed to begin from. Our case will move 1 second on top of the shoot and then 1.5 seconds down to the bottom. So I'm going to locate my 1 second mark and add a keyframe. And I'm going to move the case into position on top of the shoot, just like this. Right click in the middle of the clip and create a classic tween. We're now going to move downwards. So I'm going to go to the 2.5 second mark, insert another keyframe, and this time move my casing down to the bottom like this. Right click in the middle of the clip, create another classic tween. So a quick scroll will give us this animation. Now let's go ahead and create another layer for our cake, because it must make an entry from the left of the stage. So I'm going to create a new layer and rename it cake 1. So right after our casing makes a stop here, our cake must move 1.5 seconds into position at the top. That will mean from the 4-second mark to the 5.5 second mark, the movement must occur. So still with the cake 1 layer selected, I'm going to go into the library and pick my cake. and drop it onto the stage. And I'm then going to resize it by holding Shift. You can bring it down to where the case is, just to make sure it will fit in. And send it out of the stage. And I'm going to make sure the cake layer is behind the case layer. So with our cake layer still selected, we can insert a keyframe at where the playhead is, right here. Move to 1.5 seconds. That's 5.5. What I'm going to do is insert another keyframe and insert a keyframe for our casing as well. And for the cake layer, come back to the cake layer. I'm going to move the cake right in the position so that it matches the case. And right click in the middle, right in the middle there, and say create a classic tween. So we have our cake moving in right into this position. Now our cake must take 1.5 seconds to fall smoothly down into our casing. That will be on the 7-second mark. So I'll come to the 7-second mark. I'm still going to need the casing, so I'll just insert another keyframe for the casing so that we can still see it. And for the cake layer, I'll insert another keyframe, and this time move my cake down so that it fits into my case, like just like this. If you're not there yet, you can use the arrow keys, and once again click on the middle of that clip and create a classic tween. So we have something like this. So at the 7-second mark, this is what we have achieved. So now the entire cake with its casing must move 1.5 seconds to where the nozzle is. So both the case and the cake, we go 1.5 seconds ahead. That will be 8.5. Create a keyframe for the casing. Create another keyframe for the cake. So I'm going to move my casing just under the nozzle. Right click, create a classic tween. Select the cake layer. Select the cake itself. Move it into position. Let's make sure it maintains the position, and with that one also click in the middle of that clip and create a classic tween. So in so doing, they move together to the next position. So in the next position, we need to add our topping. So for the topping, I'm going to create a new layer and drag our topping onto the stage. I'm going to resize it. And place it on top of the cake to give me an idea of how the final size should look like. I think this is fine. And it says it must grow into this size on top of the cake within 1 second. So for the topping layer as well, at this point in time, we need to add a keyframe as well. So I'm going to click on the keyframe icon once so that it creates a keyframe, and click on the clip and go to insert at the top and create a motion tween. Now I move 1.5 seconds or 1 second from here, that is 9.5, and right click and insert keyframe scale. So this time around we're going to change the size. Now move to where the topping is, and with the free transform tool still selecting it, you see this white dot. I'm going to reposition it to the very top handle like this. So at 9.5 seconds, this is how I want my cake to end up. Then I'm going to move my playhead back to the 8.5 second mark and select the keyframe there and hold down shift whilst I resize my topping so that it virtually disappears. So in the end, this is what I'm going to have, something like this. But when you scroll through, you realize that we have the topping appearing even before it resizes. So to fix this, what we are going to do is we are going to select the entire frame that appeared before the resizing like this to the very beginning. Just for the topping layer, right click and say clear frames. So in so doing, we don't have the topping showing at the very beginning. So when I scroll through, we have our case, then we have our cake coming in, and then we have our topping growing on it, just like that. So at the point of our topping growing, we must take note that the casing and the cake will not move. So we are just going to insert a keyframe for both the cake and the case. Now finally, the entire image must then take 1.5 seconds to completely leave the stage to the right. So on the 11-second mark, our entire image or our entire cake must have left the stage. So I'll begin with the casing. On the 11-second mark, I'll insert another keyframe. And move the entire case out of the stage. I'm going to click on the middle of the frame I've just created and create a classic tween. Move my playhead to the 11-second mark and select the cake layer. And insert a keyframe for that as well. And then come to the middle of it and create another classic tween. And select the last keyframe and move my cake in position so that it matches that of the case. just like this. So when I scrub through, they move together. Now we need to add our topping as well. So still on the 11-second mark, I right click on the motion tween we've created, and I'll say insert keyframe position. So what I'll do is drag my topping right on top of where this ends up. So when I make a quick scroll through, I have my cake appearing under the nozzle, the topping growing on it, and it moves out of stage. So I'm going to complete the animation by selecting the case layer and inserting a normal frame. We can now test our animation by going to Control and clicking on Test. We are now required to save our animation as bakery underscore our center number underscore our candidate number. So to do that, we go to File, Export, Export Animated GIF. You can leave all these settings as they are and just click on Save. And let's name it bakery underscore center number underscore candidate number. And then we click on Save. Now the reason why we used the classic tween throughout the project was because the objects didn't follow any customized path or curved path. And the reason why we use the motion tween for the topping is because of its scaling properties and movement at the same time. And with that, we've come to the end of this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any comments and suggestions, you can leave them in the comment section and I'll do my best to respond to them. And to all candidates writing the May-June Paper 4 exam, I wish you all the best. And till we meet in the next video, it's bye.